Welcome to Camp Patton Family Compound. It's Monday night fireside chat time, and tonight's topic is canning pork. And I got Tammy here from Rebel Canners. We don't know what happened to Mark. He was all excited about it when I talked to him on Saturday. But and this is going to be an interesting one in the fact that I was looking up recipes and stuff, and there is such a dearth of, or lack, I use big words there, lack of stuff here for dealing with pork. I was looking, let me grab the book here. So I was going through stocking up, and I'm amazed. You go chicken, big old section on chickens. Beef, big old sections. Get to vegetables, huge section on vegetables. Pork, beep. Like what? And and ham was just one line. So I tried looking under ham too, under Tammy's suggestion. Is just and it's just really, and how cheap pork is to get in the stores, especially like at Sam's Club here. It's like, and what pops up over at the Chef's store as well. It's U.S. Foods outlet, and it's cheap, and it's like there's like they don't show you stuff to do and talk about it. And it's like
it just says follow instructions for beef.
They didn't even say that. I was looking for recipes on stuff, to can in the jar, stuff all done up. And basically the only thing I saw really for canning pork was bacon. Lots of bacon things for canning. You look at canning pork and bacon pops up. It's like, hey, pork is the other. Oh, here he comes. Here he comes.
There he is.
There he is, late as ever.
Hey, you know what? I have personal stuff going on here, buddy. Give me a break.
Which leg?
What's that?
Which leg? You said give you a break. Which leg?
Both of them right now. I'd be happy to stay home.
Oh, sounds like work problems.
Are we on?
Yeah, we're on. We're live. We're cooking.
Whatever. I only have StreamYard up. I don't have YouTube up yet.
Yeah. And so, like I said, I was trying to find stuff for canning, talk about the canning, different things. Like in canning chicken, talks about breast, talks about drumsticks, talks about this, how to do things and thighs and everything else. Beef, they talk about canning hamburger, canning this, canning that. I absolutely saw nothing about canning ground pork. My grandmother talked about it, that they used to do that. Mm-hmm. I found 0 recipes for canning pork.
Ground pork is my secret ingredient in lasagna.
Yeah.
Yep, my wife's too. Ground pork, ground turkey, and or ground beef, and that's our meat sauce, and it's amazing.
Ground pork.
All right. I forgot to welcome everybody in here, so let me go back up here. So on my channel, Tammy was the first one there. On hers, you look over on her YouTube channel, I'm the first one over there. Let's see, you got Walt Rogers came in here. Phelan Clan Wolf came in with a song. Bacon in the morning, bacon. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. And let's see. Oh, and he's been a member for 17 months. Then got Geeky Gardens. Jack from Florida is here. Then we got everybody's talking about they got ads. Then we have Angel's Homestead over on your side, Tammy. Aiden here from across the pond is here. Shawnee Shade is here. Of course, she says she's eating pork egg rolls right now.
Those are the best.
Best. Kathleen Moran is here on your side. It's the Marshmallow Man is here. And That's
Hi,
all the ones
Louise.
that have checked in so far. Lurking is fine, but we just like you check in so we know, who all the numbers I see up here. I see numbers up here on the screen. You guys can't see it, but I see it says 15 on 15 watching, 1 on Facebook. So
Welcome. I can't see anything on Facebook. I'm really sorry. But I wanted you guys to know we were live.
yeah. And yeah, but that's one of the things when my wife finally retires and moves up here with me, because we have a lot of people around here that are selling pigs. Right now, they're selling the young ones for you to raise yourself, and
Wiener.
come August, they'll be selling, the full grown ones for you to
Shares.
you take it, butcher it yourself, or you take it to a butcher. So that's one of the things yeah, go ahead.
I was really lucky when I was still working. I had a friend at work who had a pig farm at home. So she worked full time, but her family had the pig farm at home. And when people would buy shares, they didn't always pick up their share. So she would call me and say, "Hey, I have half a pig and it's sold, but now it's not sold. They didn't pay up. Would you like it at a reduced rate?" I always had pork when my kids were little. Always had a freezer full of pork.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that we're looking forward to. But my wife says she has a few recipes, but right now I was trying to get recipes, to throw some stuff up here to share what recipes we could can with. And the only thing I can think of that comes off the top of my head, which is the most common thing, and I've canned similar, but I use beef, was beef and beans I did rather than pork and beans.
Yep.
And so, pork and beans is something, but in pork and beans, generally all you do is you get a piece of salted pork, maybe 2 or 3 pieces about that big, and that's it.
Yeah.
I always wanted to, I always felt gypped when I got a can of pork and beans, because that's the pork. All you're giving me is pork flavoring. You might as well just have waved it over there and not even put it in. I want to see pork in there.
Yeah. And when you do your own, you can.
Yes. And that's one of the things we want to do is like when we get ground, get pork and do ground pork and stuff, is to be able to can it separately in the jars, then can it in the jars with some other stuff, other seasonings, prepping it to be used in other meals to make meal preparation a lot quicker. And
I make my own sausage with ground pork, and I can it because I leave out the sage. I want to make my own. And then when I cook it to make sausage and biscuit gravy, I add my sage back in. So I also can sausage patties that way.
Yeah, that's one of the things. And I froze. I love my computer. That's one of the things I want to learn, do is to make sausage patties. And that way I can, in the pint jars, I just stack several of them up there with a layer of parchment paper between them, and maybe pour a little chicken broth over it, to keep it not moist or whatever, and then use that to use that, pour off the chicken, which will now have chicken and pork flavoring in it, to make a gravy for it. But it's one of those things that is, I think it's sort of like the redheaded stepchild of canned foods.
Canning pork was never on my list of things to can, unless it was mixed in something.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh, pork chunks, no. Beef chunks, sure.
See, my mom would buy pork roast or pork butt or pork loin, chop that up into great big cubes and can it with potatoes, onions, and carrots. And that was one of my favorite meals growing up, because then she just dumped that baby in a pan, bring it to a boil. We'd have dinner ready in 15 minutes or less. And it's one of my favorite meals from childhood.
And CB is in the house. And that's one of the things that I'm really, I like beef. Oh, I love beef. However, how do you make beef better? Cook it with bacon.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you get a nice filet mignon, you wrap it with bacon, and it's twice as good.
Yes. That reminds me, I have a recipe for mock filet mignon. You mix your ground meat, and it can be any kind of ground meat, including ground pork, ground venison. I've done ground turkey. You add Worcestershire sauce and equal amounts of cooked rice to, if you have 1 pound of ground meat, you use a pound of cooked rice. And you make it into like a meatloaf, and then you make it into patties, and then you wrap your bacon around the edge and broil it. Oh.
Mm.
It's a poor man's filet mignon, and it is delicious.
Something I just realized, it's been like 2 months now since CR has come in on Mondays. Because he always gets so daggone hungry when we're talking.
I'm sorry,
Penny.
CR. Come back. We miss you. It doesn't matter what day of the week it is or what channel it is. If I'm there, he gets hungry.
Yes.
The topic always turns to food when I'm around. Sorry, CR.
And the thing is, though, CR is skinny.
Give it time.
No, he's trapped in a little box all day long, so he can't get out.
But yeah, so now one of the questions I was thinking about here, we talked about, we mentioned about doing sausage patties.
Mm-hmm.
Taking like a cookie cutter and cutting the hearts, the centers out of like pork chops or something, and canning those.
Well, pork medallions.
Nope.
Yeah.
Well, you could do that, but you can also get a regular pork chop and you can shove it right down into a pint jar, and it'll kind of mold around the edge. So you can get 2 to 4 full-size pork chops in a pint.
Okay.
As long as they're not the big pork steak ones.
Yeah, but
those you got to do in quarts. But I've done that. I've done that.
It's going to hold the form.
Yeah, it will.
So it's not going to straighten back out into a flat pork chop.
Well, when you fry it, you put one of those weights on it.
Oh, yeah.
So you can make it. I've done it. We've done it. My mom did it a lot.
And I'm just thinking of all the ways, all the different pork things we do and stuff. And there's nothing, I mean, recipes are, sorely lacking. Mm-hmm. But my grandmother had a one of those Better Homes and Garden cookbooks, the red and white checkered things from back in the 50s.
Well, I don't have here.
And she was always, you get the cards,
yeah.
Index cards.
Thank you. She'd write out recipes, and she'd hole punch one corner, and she'd find the about the right where it should be, stick it in there, and add it to her. She had one of the 3-ring binder ones.
Rolodex.
No.
Rolodex.
One of the 3-ring binder Better Homes and Gardens ones, and she would just stick them in there. And that, like I was mentioning before we went live, I thought I brought that book up here. I'm hoping I just left it there on the table there when I was packing stuff up the time I was thinking of bringing some books up, and my wife found it and just put it back on the shelf because she has one from her grandmother as well.
I have my mom's. Yeah,
I got my mom's and my grandma's Better Homes and Gardens. I have the, I think the oldest one, I don't know the year on it, but it was like a blackish gray with red, just print in the middle. It just said Better Homes and Gardens. It's old. and there's more handwritten things in there. I could tell my mom's handwriting, but there's other handwriting in there. But back then, ingredients were different, and
Yeah.
grew up on most of it. Didn't die, so couldn't have been bad.
Yeah. I
And my
almost forgot.
mom and
I got something else to show you. All right, canning bacon. Tammy's done this. Definitely a little bit differently.
I have a video on my channel.
It doesn't look like that, but yes.
Nope.
And people say
There
you
it is.
can't can bacon. It's like, wait a minute. Yoder's has canned bacon in the store. If they can can it in the store, you can can it at home.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
There's no reason if they can can it commercially, you can can it at home.
Yep.
And pig's feet.
Yeah, pickled pig's feet.
Pickled pig's feet are a delicacy. Again, those of us who were raised poor, that was a delicacy.
We had pig's feet and pig's knuckles in cream sauce.
Pig's knuckles was the other one I was going to look for, and I couldn't think about it when I was putting this together.
They're too bony.
Yeah.
My mom tried to put tripe on the table once. I left, and I was 7.
Yeah,
It was vile.
Yeah. I can't get over the odor. I've
It
tried.
stinks.
I tried to cook it once, and yeah, I was like, yeah, nope, bye-bye.
I've eaten
Now,
fried
when it
chicken
comes-
feet.
Yeah. When it comes to pig's feet, pickled pig's feet, is that, that's water bath canned, or is that just so much pickling in it, you just put the lid on the jar and
No, they're cooked first. You got to cook it first. You don't pickle a raw pig's foot.
Yeah, they cook it, then put it in the pickling stuff, and they should process it. But I know that certain companies just slap a lid on it.
like sauerkraut.
Yeah. And yeah, that's why, yeah.
Yeah.
They
I don't know. My dad loved pickled pig's feet. No one else in the family. He was like, "It's all yours. We're gonna go outside and play. And we're skipping dinner tonight."
We never had it for a meal. We only had it for a snack.
Yeah.
But it was portioned out because I grew up very poor. So it wasn't like you got, like, when I got older, I'd buy myself a jar. And that was a huge treat for me to buy my own $1.79 jar.
Yeah. It's just like, nowadays I just want to kick myself so bad for not knowing what I should have known as a pre-teenager and a teenager with my great-grandmother, because I knew my great-grandmother for several years as a pre-teenager. But it was like, oh, it's an old person. I don't want to be. I want to play with my cousins. Like an idiot.
Yeah, you
And
know what?
I had
We all did that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I had a tape recorder. My mom bought me a tape recorder for my 12th birthday. And I could have recorded all of these conversations that I'm now struggling to remember with my grandparents. And I didn't do it. And I had a tape recorder.
Yeah.
That was more fun to hide the tape recorder under your sister or brother's bed when they're on the phone and hit record. And yeah, we all did that too.
My sister was 17 years older than me. She got married and moved out of the house when I was 3. So I was an only child growing up. Even though I had 2 brothers and 2 sisters, I was an only child.
So my sister's 10 years older than I am, and then I had one brother that's 3 years older than me, and another brother that's 2 years younger. Yeah, I mean, it's like, so I was 7 when she graduated high school, and we moved, and she stayed with my grandmother, and so.
Okay,
But
so canning bacon and pork.
Yeah, so my sister has all these index card stuff that she wrote down from my grandmother. And so, but she's down in Spring, Texas. And the only time I'm able to get her up here is if one of my boys decide to get married.
So you can make You can make a Spanish style pork and can it. My wife makes a great, I call it a fiesta pork, whatever. I just gave it a name because I freeze dried it. But yeah, she just throws a pork butt, pork, whatever, in the oven. And when it comes out, we'll actually throw it in a crock pot with all the meat left over. And she adds all kinds of her Spanish seasonings and stuff and onions and that. And, it's great. I could can it. And I just never have. We just eat it, or I freeze dry it and take it out to the cabin with me with some freeze dried rice. I just add water and have Spanish pork.
I made pork carnitas, which is a Spanish pork recipe.
Just shredded pork and
with lemon, lime, spices.
I just thought of something. I'm looking something up here real quick here.
Yeah, pork carnitas, and I did the video on that because that's perfect to open up and have tacos or well, carnitas, but basically a soft shell taco thing. So.
That finger's kind of ruined it here. There we go. Yeah, I'm getting in there.
Yeah, my wife she'll buy a pork picnic and then take my boning knife and poke these about 1.5 inches deep and about a 1/2 inch or so wide, maybe, holes all over it. And she'll cram in whole cloves of garlic.
Ooh.
With the bone and all that, and then with the skin on it. Throw it in the oven. As CR here, he's getting hungry.
He's probably getting hungry even though he's not here with that one.
Yeah.
And she has other seasonings she throws on there. I don't think she'll ever give me the recipe, maybe one day. But she makes her Spanish pork. I mean, she grew up in northern New Jersey where all her friends were Spanish, and that's all they cooked. So she got all the good recipes.
Ooh, yeah. You need to introduce me to her because I want to talk. Let's talk food.
No, I'm just kidding.
Mrs. Chef Tech, I want to meet you and talk food with you.
Yeah, she's inside eating dinner right now. She
watch
leaves
it
when I get online.
Now, the one thing I was just looking up that I didn't think about till just we were talking about it here was canning lard.
I do it all the time. Well,
I've done it.
Tallow.
And that's what,
I do both.
Rendering and canning lard. And there's a lot more stuff on canning lard than there is on canning pork.
Yeah. Well, you don't have to can lard. It will actually keep quite well on its own. The problem is my house that I previously owned, it would immediately mold. I don't know. There was a high moisture content in that house. I had a pool, and so there was always a lot of humidity and moisture, and I could not keep it. So I had to can it. My mom would can it because she wanted to keep it way longer. We would always butchered our own, so then we had a lot, and we had to can it and keep it longer. And we made soap, so we would can it for soap making too.
Yeah, every time I do whole big cuts of meat and that, I trim all the fat off. It all gets chopped up, rendered down. That fat gets strained out through cloth into a jar, hot. And I just put sometimes I'll throw it in a water bath for a while just to make sure all the moisture and the heat, everything's out of it. I just seal it up. I got beef fat on my shelf downstairs. It's probably 8-9 years old.
Yeah.
And it's still fine. It's white. It's beautiful. It's like when it goes from this golden color to bright white. It's like, wow. And it makes great candles.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So one of the things I'm really looking forward to is getting my wife to make one of her huge batches of enchiladas and canning those.
I have not canned them, but I want to. I also want to can tamales, which is made with pork.
Yeah. And that's one of the things is that we're looking forward to is when she retires and comes up here, is all the things that we can do when stuff is bountiful during the year. And I froze. When stuff is bountiful during the year, can it up for the times when, so we don't have to go to, whoa, Dioris, thank you, sir. Woo-hoo.
Oh, thanks.
Pork button taters.
Pork taters.
Yummy.
All right. Thank you, Dioris. And that's one of the things, because at certain times of the year, it's like, oh, we want enchiladas, we got to go buy them.
Mhm.
She'll only make enchiladas during certain times of the year. She won't make it during the summer.
See, I live in an area where we have a high population of first and second generation immigrants from Mexico. We had a lot of migrant workers that come and they would apply for citizenship and stay, and it's very, very
Diverse.
diverse. There we go, in this area, and it's wonderful because every November everybody is selling
Tamales.
Yep. And so, one of our family's tradition is to have tamales on Thanksgiving with our other dishes, just because of living in this area. I want to can some when they're so cheap and plentiful. I never want to make them. I've seen the work it takes. I don't want to make them.
If you don't make, when you make tamales, I have lots of friends that do it. When you make tamales, you don't make 20. You make 500. No. And you have friends over, and it's a party. Nothing but giant pots of pork and chickpeas and seasonings and banana leaves everywhere and string, and there's a setup for it, and they sell them.
Yeah. And see, they do that here. They make, when it comes close to Christmas time, there's a lot of people that make these things in their home, and they're absolutely fabulous. Absolutely fabulous. Way better than you could buy in the stores and places. There's even a Mennonite bakery that makes tamales way better than I would make them. And so I want to get some and can them.
All right. So Angel Slum said, I would like to try canning candy bacon.
Yeah. Well, yeah, now, you can do that.
I know I watched your video on canning the bacon. We had the parchment paper with the bacon on it. You folded it over, you rolled it up really tight and put it in the jar. So what is candy bacon?
It's got brown sugar.
Brown sugar all over it, and you roll it up, do the same thing.
Yep.
Okay. Yep. All right.
You have to be careful. It might scald. I would try one first, because some sugars get a little scaldy in longer canning. If you're doing pints, it might be okay, but you're on the gray area. Just saying.
Okay. And so that would be one, definitely would be pressure canning, not water bath canning for 4 hours.
Well, you could do it, but
you could do it. It wouldn't scald. If you water bath canned it probably wouldn't scald because the water over top of it would equalize the temperature a little bit better.
It also wouldn't crispy up much, and the flavor.
It wouldn't have. Yeah, it wouldn't crisp up. Yeah, it wouldn't be crispy.
Oh, but when you take it out, you can always toss it in the pan a little bit first.
Yes. Oh, yeah. And you should cook it when you open it. You should cook anything. If you buy it from the store, even, you should cook it when you open it. Yeah. That's a safety thing that we've seemed to have lost, even though it says it right on the jars and from the store. But
yeah, so like Dior saying about lard going rancid and stuff. Yeah. But if you can it
depends on how you store it. If you just put it in a coffee can from the 1960s and leave it on the counter, it's going to go bad when you start adding other things to it, like bacon fat and everything else.
Hey, I have a video on a really great container that actually has the strainer in it. You can get on Amazon for leaving out, but it does go rancid. It goes rancid, especially in the heat. Yeah. So when I can it, I leave 1 inch of headspace. That 1 inch of headspace is not enough air to make it go rancid. Rancid is oxification. So it's oxidizing. It's, picking up oxygen molecules. And by canning it, you prevent it from going rancid. And it's good almost indefinitely.
Is the AC still on upstairs?
Mm-hmm. Any particular, the different cuts of pork, is there anything different about canning different parts and stuff, or is it just like you for the
And you froze.
froze. For the most part, are you just going to have to, like pre-make meal portion? What you're going to how you're going to use it in the meal. Have it all cubed up, either large chunks, small chunks,
Okay.
ground beef, or whatever.
It's going to shrink like all meat does. So you're going to want to cut your cubes slightly larger than what you want them to wind up.
Okay.
When you're doing your sausage patties, I use for my cookie cutter. If I'm doing wide mouths, I use a wide mouth ring as my cookie cutter.
Mm-hmm.
And when I par cook them, fry them just a little bit to brown them on each side so they'll hold their shape. So they shrink down and they fit right nicely into your jars. So
Cool.
again, that's something where you're going to want a wide mouth straight side jar for. That's why I like a lot of wide mouth straight jar pints and pint and a halves for sausages. Ground sausage, again, you cook it so it doesn't make a meatloaf. You could make a meatloaf with ground pork and can it. I've done that. The pork carnitas, we just wanted that to shred. I've also done ribs with bone in, and I've done ribs without bone. And the thing, going back to the candied bacon, when you do ribs and you use barbecue sauce, you want a vinegar-based barbecue sauce, like an open pit, as opposed to a sugar-based barbecue sauce like a Baby Ray's. Baby Ray's is going to scorch. You'll only do it once and you will hate it. So you're going to have to use something more like a open pit style barbecue sauce, so that it doesn't scorch.
Or a dry rub.
Or a dry rub. Yep. Again, you can raw pack with no liquid in there, and it's going to shrink down quite a bit and leave quite a bit of airspace. I love doing pork roast with vegetables, potatoes, carrots, and onions. I do that a lot in quarts because I like that size for my meal.
Yeah.
And then a bacon. Bacon is the other thing we do a lot of.
All right. Yeah, I'm just kind of just thinking about all the different things, and just there are just so much possibilities I see with pork. But trying to find a recipe was, like I said, I went through several different books today, and everything is just, and I was even looking yesterday, but I've had the grandkids over here so much. It's kind of hard to take time and go, stop that. Quit beating on your brother. The three of you, leave him alone.
Who gave you the plastic ball bat? Oh, that was my house. Sorry.
Quit throwing the Duplos at each other. It's bad when they make something that, it's an airplane.
Yeah, wiffle ball bats are not pool noodles.
But but it's great having the grandkids over here, but it makes it hard doing research sometimes.
I was a horrible child, and somebody gave me a wiffle ball bat, and it did not go well. I was a horrible child. Even as an only child, I found people to beat up with plastic ball bats.
I'm glad I didn't know you growing up. I probably we would have beat the crap out of each other.
I was horrible. The guy I beat up with a plastic ball bat was my sister's boyfriend's best friend. And an interesting fact, he was 6'10" and huge. And all I could reach was the top of his kneecap when I was 3, and I would just beat the crap out of him with that plastic ball bat.
I think
Thank goodness he thought it was funny, because he could have just stepped on me and squished me.
My weapon of choice was, I don't think it was little tykes back in the day, but the plastic shovel, the hollow plastic shovel. In the 1970s, my friend, neighbor, I kind of let one rip over the back of his head one day, and a couple stitches later, and me in timeout, or it wasn't timeout back in the day. It was.
I know. You didn't get a timeout back then. They didn't even give you a warning.
Like, Dad's coming home from work any second now. You better run.
Yeah.
It's find the access to crawl under the house and hide.
Yeah, there was no place to hide. No.
The problem with hiding at my house was you got one for whatever you did wrong,
And one for
And
hiding.
especially if
another
you
one for
hurt somebody,
hiding.
and then you got another one for hiding. So you just doubled your punishment. My
That's like that.
mom never chased you down. She said she knew where you slept at night.
That's
She
like
wasn't
that's like
wrong.
putting a golden book down your back of your pants because you knew you were about to get smacked, and then when the hand hits it, no, now you're getting double time.
Or
Well,
triple.
my mother was raised with the you go cut your own switch.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
well,
had-
I didn't
We
get
had
that.
in the
Wasn't my family.
60s. Yeah, in the 60s, we had a willow tree out front. So
Yeah.
it was like,
Yeah.
and if you didn't bring in a good one, he'd break that one and tell you to go get another one. Because that one
Yeah.
broke too quick. And if you kept bringing some little ones, you all of a sudden you're up to 3-4 times as much as Are you going to get a good one now?
I think my
That's
mom
why I
had
was
stock in wooden spoons.
Yeah.
You
But
remember
hey,
those little Board of Education?
we learned responsibility.
Oh, we learned respect. That's what we learned.
Yeah, I learned. I learned right away to behave.
Well,
You only
we
made
didn't learn to
mistakes
behave.
once.
We knew. We calculated. Okay, well, how many are we going to get for doing this? Is it worth it? Yes, it is. It's worth it. Let's do it.
Yeah.
And then hope you don't get caught. Hey, look at that. We got away with it.
Oh, we knew we were going to get caught. We just
I
thought we were
had
just,
nobody to pass the blame off on.
it was the neighbor kid. No, back to canning. Back to canning here.
Sorry.
Canning wiffle ball bats. Okay.
Yeah, canning wiffle ball bats. Canning wiffle balls.
Meatballs. That's another thing you can make with pork.
Yeah, meatballs. That's do meatballs, meatloaf. Doing the ground spam.
I have canned spam. It's a lot of work, but it's doable.
I'm not a spam fan. Never was.
I am not a spam fan either. I can't eat canned spam because of all the things they put in it. But I remembered it from my childhood, so I wanted to try it, and it's a lot of work.
Oh, I remember
That's
from
what I'm
my
gonna say.
childhood
It's a
too,
lot of work.
mixed with chunks of it with the Kraft macaroni and cheese. I was like, you've ruined my macaroni and cheese.
Yeah. Well, my mother loved to slice it and fry it really crispy on both sides, and then try to sneak it into the eggs instead of like bacon. My dad and I both were like, yeah, that's not bacon. That doesn't count.
You kind of needed the protein, but
Not that bad. Not that bad.
I know spam was a favorite at scout camp because the boys could fix that up easy, and it wasn't a big mess. And they made them, of course, if they were bringing spam up to a scout camp, they were bringing a couple bottles of barbecue sauce too.
Yeah, that might make it better. Yeah, it's just too salty for me. I'm not into the salty. So, but they do make low sodium. Now it is very popular in Hawaii, and they have 400
and
million
Midway
different.
and Guam.
Well, they don't raise their own animals there, as per capita. There's not the land to do those things like we have here in the United States.
Yeah. When I was growing up, so this is in the late 60s, early 70s, there were several Samoans at church.
Mm-hmm.
You want to make them happy? Give them a can of spam.
Okay.
Oh, the Samoans and Tongans love it.
But that's what they ate a lot of growing up.
Yeah.
It's a comfort food. Those things that we eat during our childhood become our comfort foods when we're old.
You just made me think of something. Pork gravy.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, it doesn't can well. But everything else you're going to be cooking with. I mean, you can can other stuff and pour it over it. The sausages, pork chops, all that other stuff. And so if you're making, all I can think of is call it Canadian bacon. The thick sliced ham.
It's smoked pork loin. It's pork loin that's cut very thin and into thin slices and smoked. That is
Yeah.
Canadian bacon.
Now you could go to Jersey and get Taylor ham,
Ooh.
which is I love the way it smells. And
Mhm.
being a chef and working in Jersey, everybody out there, Taylor ham, egg and cheese sandwich, and it smelled so good. And like once a year, I'd be like, you know what, I just got to try it again. I took one bite, threw the whole sandwich in the trash. It does not taste like it smells.
Mhm.
I thought it was just it's like 80% fat and 10% everything that's not lean meat.
Mm.
But people love it. It's a thing. Taylor ham, egg and cheese sandwiches on a big old hard roll.
Hey, Tammy, how's it going? The other Tammy, Tammy Harder.
Other Tammy.
The other Tammy,
Hi.
Tammy Harder.
Hi, Tammy.
Hi,
We've got two Tammys here. So now, one of the things that when it comes to canning the bacon, you could probably, with the parchment paper and that, you could, if you had a ham and you sliced it up so it's as tall as the jar is and stuff, you could roll it up with the parchment paper and keep adding slices of ham till it's about the size of the jar and put it in the jar and can that too, right?
Yes. I prefer to do cubes because that's how I use it more.
Mhm.
Because like when I go camping, I take little half pints of ham cubes with me, and then I open them, drain them, and make omelets. So like I have little diced ham canned. I don't eat a lot of slice, so I don't do a lot of slice. But yeah, you could roll them up.
Because
Now
I was
let's
thinking, because that would be something that my boys would like, especially the one who's working at scout camp this summer. That way, he could take the stuff and he's just make his own ham sandwiches, pop it out, pull some pieces out, and put the jar in the walk-in fridge then with his name on it, and just make his own ham sandwiches whenever he wanted one.
Yeah,
'Cause
that's
that would
cooked
be,
ham. And then let's define ham. So you have, and my dog is going to start squeaking his
He's
ball.
talking ham steaks, like ham slice steaks.
Oh, okay. Because you have
Not like
a fresh
not a
ham, which is
slivered.
just a pork roast.
Yeah.
not a sliver,
A
no.
slivered would not hold up. It'd become shredded.
Yeah. That'd be like, just packing full of really thin sliced stuff and just packing it full. When it comes out, it's all in pieces. So it's like, all right, this is going to be for making
Omelets
or whatever else, or soups, or dumping it for thin soups and stuff, and other things as well. And so, according to Wes S, anybody doesn't know Wes S, he's another channel out there, and I see him a lot on the Monday morning coffee thing with Corsair trainers. Finely thin, grease strips of meat, cup of oatmeal is real comfort food right there.
It will stick to your ribs and make sure you're not hungry till lunch. That's for sure.
Yeah. Mm. Unfortunately, one of the things I would, my wife has taken when she's gotten the thick pork chops, boneless pork chops, and she'll get them on the reduced price at Sam's Club when it's, you need to use these in the next couple of days, and she'll take some of them and she will cube it up small and season it with the taco seasoning and stuff to make burrito filling.
Ooh, yes.
Unfortunately, you can't can the burritos, but you can the filling. Reason I say that is I would love to be able to have a burrito in a can jar. You pop it open and have the burrito there.
Well, I do have a video on burritos in a jar, but I use ground beef with that. But you could use ground pork. It is totally a rebel recipe because it even has the rice right in the jar, cooks right in the jar.
Okay. But what
Does
about
that
the
include
tortilla?
What about the flour tortilla?
You got you open it up, you heat up the filling, and then you slap it in your tortilla.
Oh, yeah.
No,
So I'm
I'm
looking for something
sorry.
that I could pop open and eat cold.
Well, see, that's the thing, and that's the thing with the stuff that you buy canned at the store. You're not supposed to, except for fruits, you're not supposed to eat any of them straight out of the jar. You're supposed to cook it.
Yeah.
I don't even think they say that anymore in the cans.
Well, I don't know, but you are.
Well,
Yeah.
you know what? You know what, Gil? Go down that Rebel Road. Get some 6-inch flour tortillas.
Or corn.
Make your
corn.
make your burritos. Wrap them tight. Stack them up in a 1.5 jar or a wide mouth pint jar, like 3, maybe 4 you could fit in there. Or make sure you pack it up real well, and dump in some enchilada sauce into it, and can it, and see what it tastes like.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's going to be the enchiladas, though.
Yeah, well, it'll be mush, but
it's going to taste like enchilada soup, really thick enchilada soup, because your tortilla
if you pack them
gonna...
tight enough, the flour tortilla might hold some kind of form that
slimy
won't come out if you gently dump it out onto a plate and just lay them out and throw it in the oven for 20 minutes just to heat them back up. You never know.
It's going to turn into that same thing that when you open a can of sous vide chicken and you dump it out and it's just like glop. It's going to be glop. It's not going to be appetizing.
Yeah, but it might taste good.
Those sous vide chickens taste really good once you heat them up and cook them, but they're like glop. It's That's why I don't can whole chickens, because they turn into glop.
So Northern Girl Hobbies posted the link for your bacon video.
Oh, thank you.
And see, and Tammy Harder says there are recipes with about rice make all. Yeah, I was just hey, I'm getting old. I'm getting lazy in certain things. I want to be able to open a jar and like I open the peaches and pears like I used to do as a kid. Just open it up, walk around, just eating them out of the jar.
And it's just some things that you just can't can and make it taste good.
Yeah. But I can I know we have some good recipes for different for chicken, beef, pork, turkey, for different burrito fillings and stuff. Mm-hmm. But it's just kind of like I'm looking for one that is that I take it out and then I can add the cheese to it and roll it up. But that like I said, I'm getting lazy. I want to be able to pop it out. I've been spoiled by the modern food industry.
you can freeze dry shredded cheese. We talked about that.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think you want to try to freeze dry a whole burrito though. I don't foresee that working well. It won't rehydrate.
We're back to glop. It would turn into glop.
No, I can see it like this.
It would glop.
It'd be like eating a freeze dried ice cream bar. You have the thing.
Crunch.
Where'd it go?
Yeah.
Where'd it go? Where'd it go?
You get all the nutrition, just no water in all the moisture in your head gets sucked out of your brain.
That's why you need to have
That's right.
A big thing of water there.
Or pop.
Oh. Or grape juice or orange juice or whatever your apple juice, your favorite, thing to drink with.
I have a can of mostly water.
I got something else here for you. Hang on a second.
Oh shoot, here it comes.
It's a can of instant water.
Yeah, instant water. Freeze dried water. Just add water. Yeah, that's one of the older jokes going around. It's still going around.
Okay, Mark, this is just for you.
Yes, see, we knew it was coming. Yeah,
I knew it.
Hey, this is a big seller at Scout Camp.
I'll bet. Doesn't weigh anything. It's an empty can with a label. Probably goes for $1 a can.
And this doesn't have the price on it anymore. It doesn't matter. It's just the fact that it was. You see these kids walking around just laughing their fannies off Carrying a can of dehydrated water.
You know,
They knew the joke.
if you do freeze dried water, you can charge twice as much.
Oh, jeez.
Put them next to each other on the shelf. One for 99 cents, one for $1.99. You'll probably sell the freeze dried water first.
Yeah, and the freeze dried water, you say like this one here is stir empty contents of can into 1 gallon of water, stir until dissolved. You can do it makes the freeze dried makes 2 gallons.
That's right. There you go.
Right.
Oh, yeah, what you'd have to do it as freeze dried mountain spring water. That way you can actually can the minerals in there.
Is that called sea salt? Just asking for a friend.
I don't think it's salty, but it's more like a mineral pill.
Maybe I should freeze dry Mountain Dew and just have the Mountain Dew powdered. All you have to do is add bubbly water to it. I don't know. Yes. Whatever. Sell seltzer water next to it. Here's your 59-cent can of seltzer water. Here's your freeze-dried Mountain Dew. Just dump it in. You're good.
Then there's the other Mountain Dew.
Ooh.
Then there's the other Mountain Dew.
Which one? Code Red, Pitch Black?
Usually comes in a clear mason jar.
Oh, yeah. That's
delivered by the guys driving the back roads at high speed.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the... And Tammy's heard me say
Nitrous
it.
fuel.
Like, I got a deal on a case of Jack Daniels. How do I can it to make it last longer? I just shut the computer off. I'm like, you people will die. You will not survive the apocalypse.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
I made a bunch of memes like that. Just because your lid goes ping doesn't mean your food is magically preserved. You remember those, Tammy?
Yeah.
Yes. It's not the pain.
And that's about the time I kind of got off the channel.
Yeah.
And NB Heritage Farm just came in on your side, Tammy.
Hi.
So, yeah, there is, yeah. When it comes to pork, pork I think is an underrated food for canning. Personally, not enough recipes out there for doing stuff, and people talk about it. Like I said, I found.
So you're
canning.
telling me I need to write another cookbook and only include pork recipes for canning?
The piggy book.
Or just an appendix book to go with the other one. But I mean, I'm looking at so there's what I found just Googling around here. It's talking. You talk about canning bacon, sausage, patties, and or doing sausage sticks, but not loose sausage. I didn't see anything when I was looking for canning ground pork. I didn't see anything. I saw some pork loin cubes, but like I said, they weren't talking much. There wasn't much about canning pork.
It's basically the same as canning beef and chicken. I mean, if you're just going to can meat,
but I would expect people to be posting stuff. Look at the pork stuff I canned. Look at this. This is how I did that. And
well, there is the rule on the that book that resembles what you were looking at. I think it's your face, that you can't use certain words like pig, pork, stuff like that. That's what I was told. Oh, my dog is squeaking a ball.
Yeah, it's driving me absolutely insane because people can't use the word FAT or lard. So, he's trying to tell people to use lard and they just don't get it. Like, why do I have to use the proper term?
There is no proper term. That is the proper term, but it's the Facebook. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, and Facebook is like considers them all insults, and it's like
Yeah.
They don't look at, although they are starting to get better about it.
They don't look at the content. They look at the word itself, and the AI finds that word and flags it.
Yep. But they're starting to get better about context.
Yeah.
They're starting to get better. I've noticed, but we've had such an uproar, and we've like finally got it nipped in the bud in our group. I'm afraid to tell them that now Facebook is getting a little better about it, because they'll all riot again.
Yeah. Oh, well, I'll bring it up. We're hitting the end of the hour here, and I just got a notice from Cold War Prepper coming on here in about 5 minutes. Coming up here. So tomorrow night on Gray Man Prepping, the topic is RV solar. We're talking about putting solar panels on RVs, travel trailers, pickup with camper shells on them, other ways to have backup power with your camping stuff when your house loses power. Because some HOA don't want you putting solar panels on your roof because it lowers their. They don't realize it actually increases the home values, but it decreases theirs because they don't have it on theirs and you do on yours. But anyways, so we're talking about solar on RVs. Thursday night is the midnight ride. Are you going live this week, Tammy?
I can't Thursday. I'm already committed to babysitting my grandson, who is way too young to understand Nana's talking on the telly.
That might go viral. This is my grandson. Blah, blah, blah. This is Grammy talking to the grandson here.
Well, I'm just gonna like enjoy that and take all my grandma snuggles and sorry guys.
Yeah. All right. So midnight ride on Thursday night. Friday back here for Friday is clothing allergies. And talk about all the different type of clothes and allergies people have for different things and some ways to work around them. Saturday on Gray Man Prepping is the worst states for a grid collapse. So
that'll be fun.
And then next Monday here, we're deviating just a little bit on it. Still canning, but it's what is hard to can. So we're going to pick out hard stuff to can. Talk about everything that's really hard or not worth canning at all. Try to save people time and money and their nerves.
I'll start making a list.
Yeah. So so that's what's coming up here. And Scott in side chat. Oh, someone else. James Nelson just came in on your side.
Hello.
And so I make my own bacon out of pork shoulder, far cheaper than pork belly. Cube up whatever I can't cut in slab and can it. Teaspoon of salt per quart.
Ooh. Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
That's
and
you don't have to. You don't have
hobby
to
for
salt.
throwing up the link to my other channel.
You don't have to salt anything when you can. Salt is not. It's a cure when you use it as a cure, but in a canned item like beef, pork, fat, chicken, anything, you don't need to add salt. It's a flavoring, so you can do salt-free canning. There's no need to add salt except for flavor. You can add it later if you want.
Yeah. All right. Got one of these days. Okay. All right. So, folks, we're going to wrap it up here now. Cold War Prepper goes live in about 30 seconds. So I want to thank Tammy for coming up here, and Mark and everybody in the side chat. I want to thank you for coming in and contributing your comments there. And Tammy Harder's making bacon. And we will see you hopefully tomorrow over on Gray Man Prepping. All right. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.